Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. So if you guys don't know who I am, I'm Steffi New. I stream video games exclusively on YouTube. And if you're returning, hello, welcome. I know this may be different than what we usually do here, which is just purely video games, but I wanted to also take time to actually talk about the games, because usually whenever I finish a game, I like to summarize what we've done and my thoughts on the game and the game mechanics, the story of the game and everything. But I felt like the ending isn't something that I felt like it isn't enough, and so I want to spend time on a separate video just talking about it and if I think it's worth it. So let's get started. Yes, if you guys were here back last year when I streamed The Last of Us Part 1 Remake when it released, then you know that it has been a while, and I just thought it was appropriate because I just finished re-uploading my playthroughs in short increments of 30 minutes. And I just thought, hey, let's not end it there. Let's end it with my thoughts after like a year, basically. So my yearly thoughts of The Last of Us. So I've told the story many times, but I have seen The Last of Us, the remastered version. Gameplay from Geek Remix, I will link them down below. I absolutely love watching their playthroughs in the past, and they are what inspired me to actually just start streaming and start playing video games. So once I saw them play it, that's when I got more into them, and then it was my birthday, and so my friend and we went and she got me sushi, and then we went to a video game store, and then she was like, pick whatever you want. So I picked a Funko Pop, I believe, and then The Last of Us was on sale, and I was like, hey, I should get this, and she's like, okay, and then she took it and paid for it, and I was like, oh, I was gonna get it, but okay. And so then she got it for me, and I never actually played it until I kind of started my gaming channel. So that was actually The Last of Us Remastered was my first ever video game, and it kind of set stone in what I thought video games could be. Because in the past I played Tomb Raider and I played Life is Strange, so I was familiar with those types, like, just pure action and, decision-based games where that were more story-wise. But then The Last of Us was like the best of both worlds, where you had crazy fun and crazy action in between, but then there's also like the heart of the story. And so playing that game, I think it really did change the way that I thought of video games. And so when they decided that they were gonna remake the part one after part two had come out, I was all in. I was so ready. I was like, yes, I'm all in. I'm gonna buy it. I'm gonna replay it. I don't care how much it costs. But like that's how much of a fan that I was for The Last of Us. And so when it came time, like I was like, yeah, let's go, let's do it. And I had just made the switch from Twitch to YouTube. If you guys want to know why, I can make a whole separate video on why I switched later. But yeah, so when I made the switch to YouTube, I was like thinking, what game should I play? What game should I play? And I was just playing whatever I had on my computer and on my PlayStation. And then The Last of Us came out, and I was like, oh, this would be perfect to play. And so I streamed it. I had a lot of fun. First of all, I have never had a lot of support ever in a YouTube stream since those games, so thank you guys so much for that. And also, like, it was just so fun to relive, like YouTube streaming at the time was kind of like so new to me, and so I was trying to find my footing on streaming on YouTube, and then The Last of Us comes out, and since The Last of Us, the remaster, was my first game that I ever started uploading on this channel, it kind of felt right, where it's like, oh, like this is supposed to happen. And so, I just had a great time with that. But now let's get started with the gameplay and just the whole game as a whole. So, obviously, everything is way better. Graphics wise, obviously, and then gameplay wise, but let's start with the graphics. So as we all know, the original version and the remaster version, they both look kind of similar. The remaster kind of looks just more cleaner than the original, and it was made like for the PS4 because the first one was originally for the PS3. I never played the original. I have only played the remaster and the remake. And so I just want to say I was blown away with the fact that you can see like their expressions, um, One of the first things that really shocked me when I played this game was the scene with Sarah's death. That was very like traumatic to actually see because it hurt when I played the remaster, but when playing the remake, you can actually see like his expressions, you can see the tears in his eyes, and it really moved me. And to have that performance that was shown through motion capture and transfer it so well, because nowadays you need like a lot more like stuff on faces, I think, actors' faces, and I think for when this was made back in like who knows, like 2010, uh, yeah, like around 2010. I'm not sure. I could be wrong, but I'm gonna say around there. And you know, everything has been improved in terms of motion capture, and so to see how they were able to transfer that for a game like this with the limited things that they had available to them at that time, it's very impressive. And yeah, just like the graphics were really beautiful, but the one thing that really blew me away was the lighting. Like the lighting in this game was absolutely gorgeous. There were many moments where I was like, wow, like I couldn't believe that they were doing that, and like how amazing it looked. And I was very impressed like by the lighting. Another thing was definitely the gameplay aspect. So if you guys, I don't know if you guys have seen my original playthrough of the remaster of The Last of Us, but I was very bad. Very bad. You know, this was my first game. Can we blame me? And yeah, looking back at that, I was like, wow, that's kind of embarrassing. But going into this one, I did a lot better because I think of the easier mechanics, like everything was pretty much the same, but I had a better understanding, and I felt like this game was really good at explaining on how to do things, and it was just more sleek and more cleaner, and also playing on the easy mode was the best thing I could have done. But yeah, I just felt like I had more fun because when I played The Last of Us Part 2, I really enjoyed the gameplay aspect of running and going prone as Ellie, and then just like punching people as Abby. And so I was very concerned to replay this game because, you know, I had so much fun playing as those two girls in the second game that I was like, I don't know if I'm going to have as much fun with Joel. But I did, and I had a lot of fun, you know, punching people, you know, shooting them, bow and arrow whenever I got the chance. Now I want to talk about the game story-wise. So like I said, I always was shocked at how a video game can be so immersive and so cinematic, you know? Like I've never experienced a video game where the story is so rich, even if it's like a zombie game, you know? And so, I mean, I'm sure there are so many video essays on this. I'm just talking about this game and how grand it is, but I just wanted to speak to it from my perspective. And also, if you guys don't know, I'm kind of into writing, so I kind of feel like I have a different perspective as, I don't know, someone else. So, not no shade to anybody, by the way, but I'm just saying I feel like because I see things differently, like when I watch movies or TV shows, like I always see them in a writing perspective instead of, I don't know, an audience member. So I just wanted to give my input on this. But I just want to say that I think this game is so well done in the writing. Like I can go on and on and on about it, and I will, and I will. So, first of all, I just want to say how genius it was to showcase Joel's family, like Sarah and Tommy, and then you see his kind of lifestyle when you're walking around the house with Sarah, and then we kind of get to see their life before the pandemic came to light, and you kind of see that they're struggling. They're kind of, or he's struggling, and I don't know if Sarah's aware, but with the remake that you can see like things in his room that you didn't notice before, or at least I didn't notice it before. It just gives more an insight on, you know, Joel's just trying to get by with his daughter and his brother. You can kind of see like all that being ripped apart so quickly. But you know, the one thing that I really enjoyed seeing in terms of like a character perspective is to see how dangerous Joel is. Like almost immediately you see him save Sarah, and he just kills the guy because he's trying to save his daughter. Like, he doesn't even think twice, he's gonna attack him. And then you also see it later when they're trying to save people, and he's like, keep driving, Tommy. It does not matter, keep driving. And it just goes to show what kind of character that he is that he's willing to do anything to save his family, and that is what he does throughout the first part of this game. And then you also see that sort of loss when he loses Sarah, and it's all gone. And then I think once you have that kind of loss, it's gone forever, He was a protector, and it was just taken away from him. The person he was trying to protect was taken away from him, and that's when he kind of lost his humanity alongside the rest of the world. But yeah, that intro was just so amazing, and then also just to go boom, 20 years. Like, it's not like 5, or it's not the next year, it's 20, just to showcase that Joel is a new person. He's not that person who he was. He's worse. No, but yeah. And so the thing that I find most interesting is how a lot of people ask, what's Joel's defining moment? And obviously one would assume that it's when Sarah meets her doom, but actually it's when Joel meets Ellie, because Ellie is a prominent figure in Joel's life, as we see throughout the games. And I've seen like a couple of like flicks with like a parent and a son, but like they've always been, genetically like related. But when you have a story of like two people, no idea who they are, they don't care, they just have an objective, and it's interesting because you feel like, well, like when you watch movies and TV shows where a parent is trying to take care of their child, and as we've seen in the beginning of this game, but then you have it kind of flipped where a guy's just trying to get this girl somewhere, and you kind of like just see them develop like a sort of love, like a family type of love to each other. I just think it's so amazing how they go through this whole journey, and throughout this journey, they truly feel like, you know, Ellie feels like Joel is her father, and then Joel feels like Ellie is his daughter. And it's just very interesting how that relationship, it's just how it develops, and how at first, they absolutely despise each other, and then by the end of it, Joel literally saves her life when he has no idea if that's what she even wanted. And I don't know, I just think it's just so enriching to see that kind of, I know I'm repeating the same thing, but it is very interesting to see that kind of relationship unfold, and how, it feels like when you're playing the game, it feels like it happened so quickly, but it's actually been months, and they've been through so many life and death situations together. Like, how could you not form an attachment to the person that you're going across the country with? It's really telling of Joel's character that, it's something that he's totally forgot of, or that he literally chose to forget about, and then it just sparks back up again once he meets this girl. And I think it's just so genius in terms of a writing perspective. It still like makes me like get emotional because, oh, you can never think a video game like this could make you feel that way, but it does, and it's kind of crazy. Even when you get to the end, and the ending where it's like, should Joel have done this for her? But I truly believe that, yeah, if I formed an attachment to somebody, and they were like, if I had to choose to save the world between someone I love, their life or the world's, I would pick them. Because what's funny is that in this game you see everything that Joel and Ellie go through, and you see the world, with the bandits, with the loss of Sam and Henry, with Tess, and just everything, and David, and you see all these things that happen, and then, Joel made that choice of like, I would rather save this girl than save the world. Like, the world is a lost cause, and it goes to show that it is, because we've seen it happen throughout this whole game, and I still stand by that fact that Joel made the right decision, and I would have made that exact same decision. Maybe it wasn't the right one, as we see in part 2, or the one Ellie would have chosen, as we've seen in part 2. Those are my thoughts in terms of the story, and revisiting that story now that I'm grown, a little more grown than I was when I first played. Now let's talk about price wise. So I know it's been a year, so I do think that there are more sales within these games. And I have had a lot of people ask me that they were like, oh, is this game worth it? Is this game worth it? You know, it's new or whatever, but like, does the remake hold to the remaster? And I'm going to be honest, I'm going to say you don't have to get this one. Unless you were a fan previously and you've played the remaster and you've played part 2 and you want something new, I would say yes, 100% get this game. But if you are a new gamer to everything, I would honestly recommend playing the first one because there are just things that are in the first one, especially the scene when Joel and Ellie have that conversation in the room, where I feel like that's just, you know, it's amazing in its original format and it can't be beat. Even if, you know, the remake is very impressive graphic wise, like I just feel like there are things that you can't translate from both games that, you know, I'm not saying one is greater than the other, but I do feel like there is something about the remaster that cannot be transferred into the remake, and a la the TV show as well, but that the TV show is a conversation for another time. If you guys are interested, I can definitely talk about the TV show. So I would highly recommend anybody play the remaster first and then play part 2 and then play the remake. I just feel like that would be a perfect way to be playing those 2 games, or the 3 games, I'm sorry, to be playing all 3 games and just to see how like how loved you can really see how loved this game and game franchise is because of how many times it's been like remade and remastered and stuff, because it goes to show that the people will still choose to watch this and play it and experience it all over again. I know if they remade it for like the PS6, if that's ever gonna come, like I would definitely be playing it. So that is my thoughts on The Last of Us Part 1. And if you guys want more of these, let me know by liking and commenting. Let me know your guys' thoughts on The Last of Us Part 1, and also don't forget to subscribe. I play video games all the time, and I also stream exclusively on YouTube. But yeah, thank you guys so much for being here, and I will see you guys all in the next video. Have a great rest of your day, night, whatever it is. Bye!